Austin, Texas country. It's Coke FM. Eric Range live from the Deep Eddy Vodka Media Lounge. Day 4, final interview. I can go straight up honored to have Radney Foster sitting across from me. How are you, man?
I'm good, Eric. Thanks very much, man.
And how many of these have you done before?
You know, I don't know. Several, but not as many as some, like the Randy Rogers band.
Yeah, I think he's 22 he's talking about.
Yeah, I think literally, and I was talking with Les Lawless, the drummer, and he came up here even a year before that. He was playing with Dub Miller.
Dub Miller, that's right.
Yeah.
I think,
and I didn't realize that he went down memory lane with us because he and Adam Oder and a whole bunch of other guys went to South Plains.
That's right.
Which your listeners on that, up in Levelland, there is a school that offers a 2-year degree in commercial music, and like some of the biggest players in the world have graduated from there, especially acoustic instrument players. And Jed Hughes is a songwriter and session cat extraordinaire, graduated from there.
Yeah, we just had the Panhandlers in here live.
Oh, yeah.
How much great music comes out of West Texas, and obviously that school. I've been up there. I think they do like a Thursday night live, and I've been up there to play on that before.
Oh, fun.
You've had the tribute for you here before.
I have.
I know that had to be humbling, and
it's the weirdest thing in the world. It's great. I mean, and you're completely honored, but it is really emotional to sit there and watch these people, play your songs and to hear how they really feel about you and your writing and your singing and because it's more than just the songs. Like they just did a tribute to Reckless Kelly, and that's a band, so it's just as much about their records as it is about their songwriting. But I've always thought of myself as a songwriter first, and I think that sort of translated into the way that people sort of approached doing mine. But it is a neat thing that they do. I mean, it's a really cool thing.
Is it hard to accept? I mean,
Yeah, in a way. I mean, it's a.
You're like, I'm still here, man. I'm not going.
Yeah. It's any of those things. It's like, well, I know who's in that club. Why am I in here?
Right.
Your imposter syndrome tends to kick off a little bit.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, I can imagine that's great. I mean, and I talked to the Reckless guys, and they were like, anybody else? You know what? We don't want to feel like we're that old yet to be honored. You've got a lot going on. I mean, you mentioned the screenplay that you're.
Yeah.
How far has that gone now?
That's pretty far down the road. My wife and I wrote a screenplay based on one of the short stories in my book. For the listeners, I wrote a book of short fiction called For You to See the Stars and an album of 10 songs. Here's a short story for each song on the record. And she and I took one and wrote a screenplay, and it ended up getting picked up for development. And so we did lots of rewriting, which is, what happens with screenplays. And we are at the point of the pitch. So we're, this spring sometime, we're about to go spend a week in Hollywood, trying to get this thing funded and made.
You talked about it before. I mean, in the hustle, as far as at one point it was just I could just write a song and that mailbox money was just coming in, and that game has clearly changed over the years. So you went into this screenplay, and that's been 3, 4, 5 years ago. I remember sitting in a bar. In Austin, Texas.
I was working on it, yeah.
And you were working on it. You had your computer in there. I think you were eating clams that night, if I remember correctly.
Right, yeah.
And I walked over, and you were talking about starting this screenplay for...
It was about the time we started. And it really, 3 or 4 years is not an unusual amount of time for to write a film. And it's been fun to go through all the ways in which that works, and to see it sort of develop and become a different thing. And I've written a ton of music for it, so that's been kind of cool. And
so that part's done already.
Yeah, but it's going to get redone because the
pitch hasn't happened yet.
No, and the way you get a movie made these days is essentially you attach either a director and a lead actor or both. Sometimes it's the lead actress, but usually that has to be a big superstar, and it's completely sexist, but it's how the business works.
Sure.
And so we have a couple of opportunities for different actors that we know of, and and we're sort of honing in on which directors we'd like to talk to, and you go to they're going to go to a line producer, and they'll read through the script and go, okay, but without the actors, it's going to cost X millions to make this movie. With actors, the sky's the limit.
Well, you said it, songwriter first. Did you ever think? I mean, the book was successful.
Oh yeah,
you
really.
Said that.
I'm writing another book. So yeah.
You never thought that was going to be as.
If you'd have told me when I was 27 and in Foster and Lloyd and still just trying to figure out how to write good songs, that I was going to someday write a book of short fiction, I'd have called you a liar. I said you've lost your ever-loving mind.
But here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Excited to see what happens with that. I got to see a little bit of your show last night. I had to do some announcements. It amazes me. Of course, everybody that's walked in the room today was talking about, and I think a lot of us love your music, but every time you get up on stage, whether it's the story you're telling or the emotion that you put in or just that Radney Foster voice, it always takes me back. And I've sat behind the drums and played with you several times, and I got emotional yesterday listening to the stories and hearing you play some of the songs. You have that in you, and probably one of the reasons, or Texas Heritage Songwriters Hall of Fame, the ceremony last year for you.
Talk about your imposter syndrome kicking in. That's really where it happened. I was really so honored, and it's such a special night. Casey Musgraves. Casey started out in my band, and she was opening for me when she was 16. By the time she was 18, she was singing background vocals in my band and did for several years. And I helped her move her stuff to Nashville and helped her find a publisher, because she was really good. And so she came back and sang with me at the award show, and Andy got up and sang with me. It was a
big
really
night.
Big, yeah, really big night.
I didn't get to see the award show. I was there for the after party when all the relief could be there. But I will say I was sitting. William Beckman was here yesterday, and I explained it. I was like, I've never seen someone as happy as you were that night. I think, and I don't think there was any imposter syndrome. I think you was well deserved from everybody that was there, and you should be in that Hall of Fame. But for you, happy to see somebody that you had mentored up on stage.
Yeah.
I was sitting behind you and your wife watching William Beckman up on stage while he was singing. And it was like a dad that was proud of a son.
I really am proud of him. He's a great guy. He's a great kid. Yeah.
And you're doing a show later with another guy you mentored and helped produce and kind of position Randy Rogers a little later on today.
Yeah. So, talk about being matter of fact, me, Randy Rogers, and William Beckman are all going to be on the same stage.
That's going to be fun.
In a guitar pull, so it's going to be fun.
Play us a song. I'd love to hear something.
Okay, I'm going to tell a funny story because I just got through in late November. I played this songwriter festival called Songs on the Frio, which was really cool, and it raised money for their first responders, in Leakey, Texas, and I was fixing to go on, and it was all outside right by the Frio River, and across the river were people who couldn't get tickets, and they had built a campfire, over there on their ranchito or whatever it was, and they were listening. So Danny Myrick, who's going to back me up on guitar, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Rad," and I turned around, and there's a guy in his underwear in 40-degree weather in the Frio that's got to be 40 degrees.
Yeah, or less.
Right? Yeah. They don't call it the Frio for nothing. So, he had swum across the river, and he had asked me if this song was going to be in the set, and I said, "Well, it is now." It's the only time someone's ever swum across a freezing cold river in freezing cold weather to request a song. So this is Closing Time, which was off of the Doria, Texas 1959 record. Every afternoon at 5 o'clock, I forget all about you. There ain't nothing about this honky-tonk to remind me we're through. And I can put off going back to that old empty house you swore you'd never leave. From the loneliness you handed me, I can get a brief reprieve. From here until closing time, it won't matter, you're gone. I can fill up my emptiness, maybe make it on my own. From now till they lock the doors, put the chairs up and sweep the floors, you won't even cross my mind. From here until closing time. Well, the good old days are good and gone since you left without me. If I could figure out where we went wrong, then maybe I'd be free from these ties that bind my foolish heart and just won't let me start my life again. Then I wouldn't need this lonesome bar where I come to pretend. From here until closing time, it won't matter, you're gone. Your memory won't break my heart, and I can make it on my own. From now till they lock the doors, put the chairs up and sweep the floors, you don't even cross my mind. From here until closing time, every afternoon at 5 o'clock, I forget all about you.
Ooh, that's good. Radney Foster.
That's country.
Yeah, that is country. You were telling a story about the guy that swam the river, and it reminded me, and it was in your documentary, and I think I was in there for 30 seconds. All right. Your 50th anniversary, your 50th birthday party.
50th birthday party,
You did 2 shows. You did one in Austin, Texas.
One in Austin, one in Nashville, yeah.
And in that documentary, was it Darius Rucker?
Yeah.
Told the story about when he came up and wanted to meet you for the first time.
Well, we were playing. It was a Foster and Lloyd show,
Right.
and he was a huge fan, and he was late because he had to close the store. He worked at a record store, and he was late. And his favorite song on the record was a song called "You Can Come Crying to Me," and he wanted to hear it, and he was that guy because he was hammering shots, and so and weaving his way to get closer to the stage, through the set, and he kept yelling out, "You can come crying to me," and then so finally he gets up, and he's pretty weavy at this point. And he's right down front, and he's like, "Play You Can Come Crying to Me." And I was like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. We played that, earlier in the set. You must have been late." And he looked around, he goes, "I'm the only black guy in this bar. You can't play my song?" He dealt me the race card right then and there. I laughed so hard. I looked at Bill and said, "He's not wrong."
Right. Did y'all play it?
In Columbia? Oh, yeah. I said, "Y'all want to hear You Can Come Crying to Me again?" So we did. And so I, funny story, I don't remember it, except 10 years later. This is after I'd known Darius for like 5 years. 10 years later, he says, "Do you remember a guy who was kind of lit, who kept yelling out for You Can Come Crying to Me when you guys played Green Streets in Columbia, South Carolina? And I go, yeah. He goes, that was me.
No way.
So sheepishly. I was like, oh my God, that is such a story. So
I remember him telling, I saw another documentary as part of that, and he credits Foster and Lloyd. And of course, a lot of people were like, when did you get into country music? You were a Hootie and the Blowfish. You kind of used like, no, Foster and Lloyd is the reason. And he told that story again.
Yeah, and he really does. He credits Foster and Lloyd's first album and then my first solo record, Delia, Texas, 1959, with just edging him more and more towards country music. He said, there would be country singles that he would like when he was a kid. But like all kids, he said he liked everything. He was like all over the map. And but that just really started more and more. He just started eating it up, and what an honor, because he's got a thunderbolt for a voice, man. I mean,
and a great laugh.
Oh,
one of the
best laughs ever.
Yeah,
ever. Yeah.
I mean, I've been to the CRS. They do some of the shows over the Ryman, and they'll have his laugh on an answering machine and play it. Pretty
That's great. I love that.
And of course, he sang Angel Fly with you guys.
Oh yeah, he sang on Angel Fly with me
as well. As far as what new music putting out, I mean, I'm sure you're always writing, or are you too busy with the screenplay right now?
I am writing, but I've been mostly writing for the screenplay.
Is that a different style of writing when you're writing?
It is, because you have to remain on theme, and the song really has to fit. It's one of the reasons that music supervisors are constantly looking for a particular thing, a particular kind of song, and sometimes a particular subject matter. And in this film, we've written characters who one of whom is a singer-songwriter, and so that person's got to tell parts of their life story through their songwriting, but because of the way the system works, I can't play them yet.
No, I understand that. So it's much like doing a conceptual album, maybe.
Yes, very much thinking the same way, because you're writing the story, and there've been a couple of songs that I had written that they're not going to make the film because the theme changed. We got an idea, and it's like, oh, that shouldn't happen there. That should happen this way instead, and we need a different song.
So somewhere down the road, there may be songs that you wrote for this screenplay that
ended up on one of my records. Right. Sure, yeah.
Hanging out, Radney Foster, live in the Deep Eddy Vodka Media Lounge. You play us another song?
Sure. Let me play.
I'd never heard the Randy Forrester story until last night as well. That was your first time to ever?
So my debut. Well, Foster and Lloyd had a debut on the Opry. And things were so different back then that we were so rockabilly and rock and roll that we played Crazy Over You, which was first duo to ever have a debut single go #1 was Foster and Lloyd, Crazy Over You, and the next duo to do that was Brooks and Dunn, we finally, but we had to lobby and because they just thought we were too rock and roll for the Opry, and yeah, and boy, how things change, right?
They thought Bob Wills was
too rock and roll for the
Opry. Let the drummer
right?
on
Yeah,
the
drums,
stage.
right? Yeah, didn't want drums on stage, and so Minnie Pearl, Sarah Cannon, Minnie Pearl, went to bat for us.
Howdy.
Yeah, she loved us, and she was like, "They're nice young men. They really love country music. You need to pay attention to them. They're setting the woods on fire, and y'all need to have them on." And so we were, but they never allowed us back on because it was just like they got hate mail,
Really?
Yeah, no, it was wild, and so that made me, whenever I went solo, having that debut, even a little more nervous.
I can imagine.
And as you know, but the audience doesn't know. So I'm standing on the stage. I'm about to, play "Just Call Me Lonesome," and the guy says nice things about my songwriting and all the things that I'd done and this and that and the other. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome with his Opry debut, Randy Forster." And I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a panic attack on national television, because the Opry was being broadcast on the National Network back then. And
what do you do there?
I walked up and I said, "My name is Radney Foster and I'm from Del Rio, Texas." just went right into it. Just call me lonesome, I mean, and that's how I got past it.
Right.
And then so I opened every show that way for a long time.
For that reason.
Yeah, for that very reason.
Well, good luck to the guys that's introducing you and Randy Rogers tonight. And if Rodney Crowell was
I was going to say it could be really, really bad. There.
Play some song.
So. It ticks just like a Timex, never lets up on you. Said life was easy, the job is never through. It'll run us till we're ragged, it'll harden our hearts. Love could use a day of rest before we both start falling apart. Pray that it's raining on Sunday, storming like crazy. We'll lie under the covers all afternoon. Baby, whatever comes Monday, take care of itself, 'cause we've got better things that we can do when it's raining on Sunday. Like religion across in Mexico. Your kiss is like the incense of a prayer nailed to the door. I surrender is much sweeter when we both let go. Let the water wash our bodies clean and love wash our souls. Whenever it's raining on Sunday, storming like crazy, we'll lie under the covers all afternoon. Baby, whatever comes Monday, take care of itself, 'cause we've got better things that we can do when it's raining on Sunday. Pray that it's raining on Sunday, storming like crazy. We'll hide under the covers all afternoon. Baby, whatever comes Monday, take care of itself, 'cause we've got better things that we can do when it's raining on Sunday. When it's raining on Sunday. When it's raining on Sunday. Yeah.
That's pretty. That's good.
Thanks, sir.
Radney Foster. You write that song, and of course you're writing from whatever place it's coming from.
Sure.
What was it like to get at the height of his career?
Well, the weird thing is that Keith, I met him right after that first album came out. I was playing some kind of charity thing that I think was for NSAI, and it was 4 guys in the round at the old 12th and Porter in Nashville. And he was at a table with some friends right down front. And he came up to me and after the show and introduced himself. And I had actually seen him and never met him because Kim Ritchie and I, when we were both, I I was going through a divorce, and she had broken up with her longtime boyfriend, and we were just good friends hanging out, and we would go see the Ranch play at Jack's Guitar Bar, which was Keith's band, and we're like, man, that lead singer in that band can play the hell out of a guitar, So, and I've said, man, I loved your new record. It was great, blah blah, and he said, hey, I can't tell you how much that See What You Want to See record has influenced me. And I said, thanks a whole lot. And he said, I'm going to cut Raining on Sunday. And in my head, I'm going, oh man, thanks so much. But in my head, I'm going, there's no way in hell that Capitol Records is going to let you cut Raining on Sunday, because it's about God, rain, sex, Mexico, the desert, all, and in the second verse, and none of it makes any sense,
right.
And it's got all the chords you're not supposed to use in country music in it. I mean, you're not supposed to go to that 5 minor or the, all of those things. And I was like, that's not going to, I'm just, sure, thanks so much, And then he actually did. And then when it was a hit single, and a big hit single.
Yeah, that was a
Huge monster.
Was it in Dallas that he called you out?
Yeah, I had gone. We were making. You were talking about the documentary.
Yeah.
We, for my 50th birthday, we did a documentary based on the making of the Revival record, and part of it was about that 50th birthday and doing those 2 shows, and so Keith had met with my documentarian and who was working with me, and he had agreed to do an interview. And my son, my oldest then, was like 17, and he'd never seen Keith live. And he was a guitar player, and and was a big fan of Keith's guitar playing.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. yeah. And so we flew into Dallas because he was playing American Airlines Center. And Keith just said, hey, come get up and play Raining on Sunday with me. And I said, well, man, you do it a key higher, and, just trying to, back out. And he goes, no, I'm going to be fine. You can do it. And I was like, okay. And so he came. What he didn't tell me is that he said, oh yeah, we're just going to do it, you and I, on acoustics. And, my drummer's just going to do a little loop for us to play to. And I was like, okay, cool. He didn't tell me that, when it hits the solo, that the entire band is going to kick in like an explosion going off. And I was like, whoa, what's that going on behind me?
Did you have monitors and ears or something? Or
I had in-ears. Yeah, right. I had in-ears. So I could tell what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they handed him an electric guitar, and he just proceeded to rip the solo to pieces. And he actually did one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I don't know if he does it anymore, but he, during a solo on a song, ran to the back of the auditorium. This is a 33,000 seat basketball arena, right? And he runs, and there's not like a catwalk for him to do it or some security guy or anything. There's him hauling tail through the aisles, wailing on electric guitar, and then there's a guy who, obviously had preordained this, to happen, and he's in the cheap seats at the back of the arena, like 2 levels up. You run up the stairs, playing the solo, whole 9 yards. The guy plants a microphone in front of him, and he finishes the song there, and then does the next 2 songs from there. He goes, "Who's got the best seat in the house now?"
That's great.
And so that he would go to the very, the cheapest seats and the nosebleeds, for them to be able to go, oh yeah, he's right there next to me. I thought that was really cool.
Cool feeling, though, to get out in front of 33,000 feet.
Oh yeah, it wasn't my first time to do that.
Sure.
I mean, but it is.
And hear somebody do a song.
But hear somebody do your song in front of 33,000 people is pretty amazing.
I've asked before, a hit of your own, or for somebody to take your hit and make it a master like that. Which would you rather have? It's not a fair question.
It's not a fair question, because the check's clear just the same.
Yeah, you talk about that, the kitchen.
Yeah, but there's something about when a great artist can take a song and make the world believe it's their own. And Glenn Campbell was a genius at that. And there's a lot of guys. Keith Urban has done a lot of songs that he didn't write. He makes you believe they're his.
Sure.
And yet he is a great songwriter and has written, Willie Nelson, same way. I mean, you can mention any song that You Were Always on My Mind. Elvis cut that first.
Right.
And that was actually, I can't remember I think it was, why am I drawing a blank on his name? It's the same guy who wrote She's Acting Single and I'm Drinking Double.
Gary Stewart?
And Gary Stewart didn't write that either. That was,
Right.
no, it's...
well, Willie didn't write Whiskey River.
No, that's right.
Johnny Bush.
It's Johnny Bush, and everybody thinks...
Well, even last night when you were playing that song, and you
I was playing Wichita Lineman, yeah.
yeah, when you were playing Raining on Sunday, I
yeah.
see people like they didn't
Why is
realize.
he? Yeah, they didn't realize that I wrote the song.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Texans know because it's like I said in the introducing it. It was kind of a hit for me at home in Texas and kind of nowhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So and it wasn't all that big a hit for me because the label closed right when the album was released. See What You Want to See. I had the, I don't know if you remember Aubrey Moore.
Oh, yeah.
And she and I did as a duet. She was like the big special guest on I'm In, which Keith Urban also cut.
And the Kinleys.
And the Kinleys cut, yeah. And so, that came out and it was the second most added song at AAA radio. And the next week, the label closed.
Yeah.
And then they kept a skeleton crew on, and they released Just to Texas, Raining on Sunday. And so it was like, well, can we get this thing? And then, all of a sudden, that whole album takes on a life of its own. And the Dixie Chicks cut Godspeed. Keith Urban cut 3 songs off that album, and then 2 or 3 other people have cut different songs. I mean, it's kind of remarkable how many cuts have come off that, that other people did the songs off of there.
So it has to be a great feeling for that to still be happening.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
still happening.
That's still happening. And it does, even to this day. I'll have an album that I do, and somebody will come along and say, "Hey, can I cut that song?" And
well, you brought it up last night, and I know I've read it before. I didn't realize 3 days.
Oh,
Bad
yeah.
Green.
Yeah.
Nominated for a Grammy.
yeah.
And you finally started doing it again.
I didn't, I got 3 days, watch the road out of my soul. I got 3 days, love you out of control. And I wish I had a lifetime to hold on to you this way. Love could do some healing in just 3 days. Yeah, I mean, I had never done it live.
Never?
Never.
Because it was Pat's.
Kind of a way,
made it
he had this chord change where he was doing.
Yeah.
That was just the entrance, and he was bone tired. They had come from Cleveland, Ohio, and I took one look. I picked him up at 10 o'clock at the bus, and I took one look at him. And I was like, the first thing this guy needs is sleep.
Yeah.
And so I wrote him. So I
need some sleep, Pat.
I had a couch in my studio. My studio was in my basement at the time, and I had a couch. I said, "Man, why don't you take a nap?" And he kept admiring. I had a little, because Foster & Lowe was on RCA, I had a little RCA Nipper Dog figurine that they had given me. And so I wrote a note, and he said, he said, I've only got 3 days, once I get home, and then I got to turn around and go out for another 2 weeks. It's like, it said, "Is there any way we could write a song called 3 Days?" And I said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And I wrote him a little note. I said, "When you wake up, start working on that song."
Wake up.
That's right.
Really? Okay.
And so he just went, "Wake up, what you been dreaming about? I ain't got a lot to say." And then I heard him, and I was like, and then I basically, that wrote itself in about 45 minutes after
I
that.
told you off there, one of my favorite
And
lines.
he slept for 4 hours, by the way. My wife was like, I told him, she's like, just let me have a 20-minute nap and I'll be okay. And I said, I closed the door to the basement. I told her, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to go to the grocery store and run some errands, man. Don't wake that guy up. Just let him wake up whenever he wakes up.
And the first line of the song is Wake Up. And that's where it came from. Yeah. And one of my favorite lines in any song is, if you've ever been out on the road or tried to play the game, is I've got 3 days to shake the road from my soul.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, I love you. You know that.
Thanks very much, brother.
I appreciate everything for coming up here. I know you got a big show tonight, so to come up on game day and actually sing, I truly appreciate it.
Oh, you know what? I needed to get up. You know, I sang. That's the thing about this festival. You're going to sing. You're going to sing a lot, and you're at altitude. So I was thinking about going to the Safeway and no plug for them. They're just close. But, you know, they have the bottled oxygen.
Yeah.
Because we're already at 9,000 feet here, and I think up top it's, you know, a couple thousand feet higher than that, you know, so I'm going to...
I always bring it with me. This is the first year, like, they make a portable oxygenator, they call it.
Oh, really?
And it turns the oxygen, and it runs through, and you wrote the little nasal thing. This is the first year I hadn't, you know, brought it with me. And it's the first year that it's hit me again. I was walking around huffing a can, and so
I'm going to go get a can before I go up there tonight.
Well,
so
good luck.
It was good for me to you know, at least warm up the vocal cords in the afternoon.
Good luck with the screenplay.
Thanks very much, man.
I hope there's a movie soon enough.
I hope there is too. You know, a whole lot of screenplays get written and no movies ever come out. You know, and but I think I'm proud of the work, and I think it'll lead to more work. And with any luck, I think it'll get made.
Our partner here, the amazing Radney Foster.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you for coming in.
Pleasure.
Final interview up here in the Deep Eddy Vodka Media Lounge. We saved the best for last.
Oh, thanks very much, man.
Live from the 38th Annual Music Fest from the Deep Eddy Vodka Media Lounge, and live right here with Austin's Coke FM.